That's why the Clement family takes 3 or 4 drops a day. So good thing for you.
Even for people that already have mercury fillings in their mouth?
Again, your objective eventually is to get the mercury fillings out. I'm not a dentist, and I can't tell you if you have bad, good, or indifferent. But if you don't do that, guess what? Now it's even worse. Now, new people. Any new people have questions? 2 more questions. Yes?
You spoke about Diadamo and the blood type diet.
Right.
And I take it you weren't for that, but yet you said when people come to see you, you take blood. I was just wondering what you're looking for with the blood work that you do.
Every serious doctor looks at the immune system. Because it's not we that makes you well, it's your immune system and the strength of your immune system that makes you well. So not only when you come in do we do that, and when you leave you do that, for the rest of your life for free. You're sending blood and scans and reports back to us for the rest of your life. And we're now observing whether or not you're doing what it takes to get the immune system stronger and stronger and stronger. Of course, there are other factors.
But you're not recommending diets based on what you find?
Yes, we are.
You are?
Yes, we are.
Well,
that's why.
How's it different from the Diadamo?
The blood type diet is a bizarre ideology, not science, that basically says if you have type O, you have to eat meat. If you have type A, you can be a vegan. And that's no bearing on biochemistry or anatomy. The good news is that they're good people. The father never succeeded. The father had to flee Connecticut and move to Canada. God bless him. In this country that we call free, it's not free, and he was persecuted. Thank God the kid became successful. I cannot condemn anyone that means what they're saying. They believe in what they're saying. They're not shysters who are out to sell you a bill of goods. You follow that? But they're wrong. And how they're wrong, listen closely. We have never once taken a type O, a type B, a type A, double A into account. Put people on a very similar diet, hundreds of thousands, done clinical research, only place in the world, including medical, nobody does what we do, and have never seen that affect an outcome. Everyone is off animal foods. Everyone gets better. Everyone fights the aging process. So, again, like I said to this young lady, there doesn't have to be right or wrong. We all enter in places at different places.
But based on the different blood types,
we don't take it into account because it has no bearing on reality.
But I thought you just said that you do take that into account.
Let me explain the difference between a blood type and a blood test. Maybe that's a little confusing. The kind of blood test that we do, it looks at something called differentials. That's called the CBC, a blood count. It looks at the white blood cell, the red blood cell. It looks at your immune systems, and it looks at the big ones. The one that makes you who you are, the red blood cell, and refined. It also looks at organs. It also looks at minerals. You know, so it does a big cross-section of different things we're looking at. It looks at cholesterol. Now, when we look at these, which I've been doing for 38 years, we basically, instantaneously, within a matter of a minute or two, have a formalization of what's occurring in your body. But we don't stop there. Besides doing the medical blood test, we then take a microscope and we look at your cells currently. So now we're doing 2 blood tests. Because this tells us something, but this tells us something different. And it's not 50-50. It's together, these are hundreds and hundreds of times we're revealing. We do this at the beginning. You're then on a very clean diet. We're relaxing your head. Electromagnetic therapy, oxygen therapy, targeted supplementation, IV supplementation, ba-ba-da-boop, ba-da-ba-da-boop. And then, at the end, we see what's strong and what's weak. Then what really is happening in your body surfaces by the end. Because the poor doctors, and I say poor doctors, they're not the schmoes. It's the pharmaceuticals that are the schmoes. They see you for 5 minutes. They look at a blood test, and in their minds, we train 100 doctors every year how to reinterpret blood tests. Right or wrong, good or bad. And it's so sad. I mean, thousands of people die every year because they make determinations not based on formalization, but on what's right or wrong, because liability depends upon that. God forbid if you were out of the range and they didn't say something. Then it's liable.
What do you mean
We're not looking at that. We're looking at the long term. To be limited to 1 blood test, I'd be just as bad as they are. We look at 2. Do we stop? No. The sicker you are, the more often you send blood tests back. The healthier you are, the less often you send blood tests back. Now, when I get files, many times when they bring them in my office, and I'll have 200 when I go back now, because I've been on the road for a week and a half. Some files are people 30 years have come to us, because 80% of our guests return to us. And this is Mary, who was having brain cancer 30 years ago, and here's what's happened. So now I see Mary dying, now I see Mary 3 months later, now I see Mary 3 years later, now I see Mary 10 years and 20 years and 30 years later, and I have 150 blood tests on it. I have 150 scans. I have Sloan Kettering saying, oh, this is remarkable, blah, 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 blah. And we have thousands of people like this in our file. So we have been developing a very clear understanding of what works, what doesn't work. And in our view of reality, and any other chemist's view of reality or biologist, blood type has nothing to do with it. It's all coming down to immune system. Immune system being cells. The cells either are tough like the Israeli army, or weak like our current army. It's that simple. And you want an Israeli army. You want the Israeli army to be up there and say, don't you screw around with it, because if you do it, that's it. That's why that little country survives. Us, we do the rah-rah, shish kumbah, we throw the flags around, and we go out and we lose. We haven't won a war since the Second World War, basically. But we keep telling everyone how wonderful we are and how great we are. After a while, they say, ah, they're full of shit like the rest of Hollywood. And so, that's the problem. Okay. One last question, who has not asked the question. Yes?
What is your electromagnetic power?
We have about $650,000 worth of electromagnetic equipment. Back at the beginning of the lecture, an hour and 28 minutes ago, I said to you that 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, the what? Asians realized that our body was electric. Although it was primitive, they proved it. Stuck a needle here and a needle here. In the last 100 years, and certainly the last 30 or 40 years, we've developed a lot of sophisticated, biologically compatible frequency machines. Some come from a long tradition, like the diathermia. Some come from a new tradition, like H-wave. Some come from the University of Virginia, like cross brainwave. Some come from Korea, like Nikon, because I'm traveling the world constantly, bringing the best technology back. We're looking always at what works, not because somebody sold it to me and said it worked, but give me clinical research long term, show me how this affects, show me how it affects the what system? The immune system, and then we bring it in. So when people come, quote, ill or quote, not ill, and all of us are ill at some level, including me, either emotionally, spiritually, or physically, or a combination of it most of the time, we all get into the electromagnetic. As an example, if you're a runner in Europe or an athlete, they put you under electromagnetic when you're resting. Did you know that? The dummy American trainers, they don't do that. If you go to a running meet in France, you're going to see some of the equipment we have at the sideline. Shocking. But again, the pharmaceuticals control everything here, and everything here has to do with chemistry, not electric. Interesting enough, doctors know, the allopathic field knows you're electric. You want me to prove that to you? How do they measure you when they diagnose you? Electrically. What is an MRI? What is a high-speed CAT scan? What is a PET scan? What is an X-ray? It's measuring your electromagnetic frequency. But because the chemical industry, we call the pharmaceutical industry, have control, they don't treat you electrically. We do. Europeans do. My wife's country, you get cancer, you get electromagnetically treated. You get oxygen treatment. Because they're more interested in healing a person, not profiting on the person. Here they stick some drug down your throat that notably is bad. It's been a pleasure to be here. I want to thank everyone for having us. Let's say a prayer together before we leave. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Deep breath, relax. Relax. Deep breath. Give these people the strength to persevere, live the truth, and never compromise. Amen. Give yourself a hand.